This is the perfect RIA, in case you didn't know. Bringing you all the strategies to help your business grow. Are you happy? Are you satisfied? Are you hanging on the edge of your seat? Sit back and listen in while you feel the beat, yeah! Another myth bites the dust.
Hello, TPR Nation. This is Amrein from the Perfect REA. Thank you for joining me on today's Follow-Up Friday, where I'll be covering the highlights and action items from this week's episodes. On Monday's episode, Matt and Micah talked about how at this time, most people have just finished their surge, and now they're turning to the next month and looking to figure out what happens next. Micah kicked off the episode by talking about how his and Matt's journey on surge was created differently, but that the concept of it was the same, which was how do they focus their time to deliver the most value to the clients that they can, and then be able to make a hard stop and pivot and do something else, whether that's spending time with family or working on another project. He said the illusion is that since you just got out of a high-intensity work period, that you need to pivot to another high-intensity activity, which he said you could do, but you could also just go and spend time with your family. Matt talked about how it sounds easy to do that, but advisors can struggle with this, and there can also be a lot of guilt and shame. So how do you make that family time quality time, and how do you keep your team from panicking or not being productive following surge? Matt and Micah discussed some ways that you can make that pivot from surge, as well as some traps and things you need to be aware of that can creep up on you if you don't have a plan in place. For Micah, in his experience, he said he couldn't go from that high-octane mode directly to having the same intensity level with his family. So he implemented a buffer week after surge. After that, he said you can get into that second week of being more present with your family. The guys also talked about how you need a place to handle thoughts that come through about work or your clients when you're with your family. So that could mean having a notebook to write down your thoughts, but be sure to be open with your spouse about needing to do that. By having a space for those thoughts to live, it checks this off mentally so then you can be present with your family. However, it's important to note that this is different from getting alerts and messages and being glued to your phone. The guy said that this robs you from that quality time. And they mentioned some examples of advisors who they handle this by keeping their phones in their car, or they'll turn off their phone when they get home and they won't turn it back on until the next morning. Matt said that whatever is taking you away from quality time, you've either got to willpower it or forcing mechanism it away. Matt and Micah also recommend looking at what does your perfect calendar look like and make sure that you're involving your spouse in this. They both mentioned that they run into problems with this when they don't have a running list of things to do. For example, when Matt's list runs to zero, he'll then go and find issues with everything else and nitpick what everyone else is doing. Micah shared how we nitpick what other people are doing versus going out and being productive. He recommends creating a fun family activity list and then having a personal list. For him, he said he can easily jump back into work mode, but then that takes away from his goal of being a great husband and father. So you need to figure out what's going to work for you and your spouse. For Matt, he needs physical adventures, and his wife will be aware of this and will make recommendations that he go and do certain activities. The guy said you could even rent space if you feel that after a few days that you're not in the best spot. What's important is that you're aware of this and plan around it. Matt and Micah then talked through some of the concerns that can come up from your team when you're taking extended time out of the office, as well as setting expectations with them. They said that there's this fear that the building will catch on fire while you're gone, and you're the only one who knows how to use the fire extinguisher. Micah recommends that you start with fear setting. Meet with your team and find out what they're concerned about. Find out their fears, outline them, and then come up with an action plan. Since a lot of times the fears revolve around clients, Micah said you could also reach out to clients ahead of time and let them know that you'll be out, especially if you'll be completely out of pocket. Regarding expectations while you're out of the office, Matt and Micah said that you need to outline what needs to be done, what the team needs to do, and what's measurable success. Also, you could take different approaches to this. For example, the building is still standing when you return could be one approach. But if the expectations are that things are better than before you left, then you need to set those expectations. Matt and Micah wrapped up the episode by talking about communicating with your team while you're out. Matt said that when you're out of the office, but not off the grid, that it's hard. He said when you're on the grid, you need to have clear scheduled time when you're going to communicate with the team. He said otherwise, you'll get instant messages or calls for things that the team would normally take care of. Micah shared that when his office texts him, his immediate response is this a 911? He said it's challenging because you automatically want to be the go-to, but instead the team needs to follow the process. The guy shared that you want to focus on being a good leader for your team, that it's 10 times as much work to be a good leader than it is to be a bad leader, and that you being a lazy leader creates so much for you and your team in the long run. So they said deal with it now and then move on so your team is more efficient. Let's get into action items from Monday's episode. Enrollment for Backstage Pass and Invictus membership closed this week, but reach out to our team either by visiting theperfectra.com or emailing us at lifestyle@theperfectra.com to get more information on our membership options. Build your morning success ritual. Think about what does that look like and make sure that you're communicating that with your family. Lastly, for our Invictus members, be sure to join us in May for our next mastermind and then for our live event at the end of September. On this week's What Works Wednesday, Matt was joined by Fred Amrein, a former financial advisor and the founder of Pay for Ed, which is a platform for individuals, employers, and financial advisors to help them navigate student loan and repayment decisions. Fred shared his background, which included having his own RA for 14 years, and he felt that there weren't good solutions with educations when he was looking at sending his 3 daughters to college. He said you need to look at this as a lifetime decision, and that it's a big investment. He said more and more careers are requiring postgraduate degrees, so there's a lot that you need to factor in. Fred said that it's become such an important part of people's financial future, and that people are having children later in life. He said that people over the age of 50 are the fastest growing student debt borrowers. He said that the national graduation rate is less than 45%, and then you have to take into account grad school, and then how are you going to pay that back? He said by discussing this with your clients that it's a way to reach out to the next generation to deliver value. Fred talked about some critical things on the repayment side that people are watching and need to think about, and that at the time of this recording, he's expecting the courts will make a decision on student debt repayment sometime in June. Fred also talked about FAFSA simplification, where the IRS data will feed the student loan repayment system, and that it's critical to make sure that you file your taxes the right way. He added that for FAFSA, the multi-child discount is going away and small business owners will be affected. He said cost is going to get more expensive for many families. Matt and Fred shared that a great way to bring value to the table is by asking your retiree clients who is talking to them about this. There are a lot of ways to add value for clients who are grandparents. Fred walked through how he works with advisors and that it's all about understanding the rules. He said what people don't recognize is your debt structure drives your repayment and forgiveness options. Let's get into action items from Wednesday's episode. Fred said that you need to get ready for the upcoming restart. And if you're adding this to your full financial plan, that this will be beneficial to your clients. Also, that once the Supreme Court decision comes out, people will be looking for help. On the retirement side, Fred said that this will be a new niche and that there's an opportunity to help a lot of people as well. Lastly, to learn more about Fred, please visit payfored.com. On this week's Worlds to Conquer, Jamie talked about one of the concerns that financial advisors have when search wraps up for you and your team, and how to make sure that you're still focused on 10xing and being hyper-focused on your goals. Jamie said, you don't go to zero work once search is done. During this time, you can spend more time with those you love, but you still want to be focused on moving the needle. Jamie talked about how she and Micah created a perfect week for financial advisors out of search. It includes expectations and block periods of time Monday through Friday so that you feel like you're still advancing and making progress towards your personal and professional goals. They believe and advocate for morning success rituals, and Jamie shared a recommendation from her father, Floyd Schlansky, which is the Magellan Group's 8 starting points, which are the following. Visualize success. What does success look like? And get very specific with this. Declaration statements and questions. These are things you want to keep top of mind. Review your game plan. So be proactive instead of reactive. Spend time doing your to-do list. These are the things that you want to get done today. Meditate for at least 5 minutes. Journal so that you can be physically present. Determine one act of gratitude that you can achieve that day. And it's not about writing it, but it's about physically taking action. And then end this with at least 5 minutes of exercise. Jamie then walked through a recommended schedule Monday through Friday, starting at 7 a.m. each day for your morning success ritual, and then how to set up each day following this. To recap what a recommendation is, on Monday, she said, you want to do industry research. She said, ingest something that's going to help you get into that financial planning mindset. This isn't just searching up random market-related information. It's strategic, focused time. Then the financial advisors should check in with the operations lead, then check in with the RNs, which are the relationship managers, then do the lead task, and this is buffer time to answer questions, prepare for client meetings or work on content creation, then task completion, and then do an email check-in. Tip from Jamie was to delete your email from your phone. She said when you check in on your phone, you're not being deliberate and intentional about the work you're doing, and you're responding in a way that doesn't deliver value. Jamie also recommends that you wrap up your day each day around 12:30 to 1 o'clock. On Tuesday, you should start with ingesting technical information. And then after this time, spend the rest of the day doing content creation. On Wednesday, check in with your operations team, work on tasks from the operations team, then build out that one-page financial plan, and then review processes and bottlenecks. Then do the email check-in. And this is do, delegate, delete. Make sure that you have a communication policy and get out of your email. On Thursday, she recommends doing a project review, so check your content calendar and your marketing calendar. Mid-morning, you should be doing a center of influence development, where you're reaching out to CPAs or attorneys and working those relationships. Then email. Again, it's do, delegate, and delete. Then on Friday, she said you should do nothing but outline and research some type of financial planning advice that you want to learn more on. She said, make sure you're doing a checkout process with your team to make sure that there's connectivity with them as well. So what do you do with the rest of your day? Jamie said, you want to get done the rest of the things that you didn't do, but that this is about having a disciplined schedule so you're not playing office. You have to be intentional about the time that you have. She said that by having this schedule and perfect week, it allows you to deliver massive value to your clients because you're constantly learning and developing your ability to be a financial advisor. You're learning that technical information and you're getting excited about new concepts and ideas. And then you're able to make sure that your practice continues to grow. And you're also able to have those check-ins with your team and get their questions answered. Then you can spend more time out of the office with the people who matter most to you. You have the rest of the day to do what is important to you. And you now have that space and time to go achieve that without feeling guilty. Jamie also said that you have a responsibility to be profitable and remain in business. In order to achieve your goals, you have to constantly be focused on moving the needle. She said outside of search is the perfect way to do this. Let's get into action items from Thursday's episode. If you're in an enterprise office and you're the lead senior advisor, take the time to create a perfect week for your younger advisors and walk them through this step by step. Also, check to see if you're more focused on productivity or time management. If you're a younger advisor, take what Jamie shared and go implement that. Talk to your team members and find out what their fears, concerns, and head trash are for outside of search so that you can help alleviate them. Listen to what they have to say and offer to check in with them during the week. And then make sure that you communicate checkout times with them along with how to handle emergencies. That wraps up this week's recap. Thank you for joining me on today's Follow-Up Friday. Be sure to give us 5 stars wherever you're enjoying this podcast and share this or any of our episodes with another advisor or a team member who you think might benefit from listening. And until next time, happy planning.
Hold on before we go. Something that you need to know. This isn't tax, legal, or investment advice. That isn't our intent. Information designed to change lives. Financial planning can make you thrive. Start today, don't think twice. Be a better husband, father, mother, and wife. The perfect RIA.